And on top right, integers. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about adding and subtracting them, which gets a little confusing. You are very good at adding and subtracting positive integers, but when you start to having to deal with negative integers, there's where sort of the wheels kind of fall off. Now, here's kind of what it looks like. For example, a positive 6 plus a positive 2. We've done this for thousands and thousands and thousands of days. Usually we don't put those plus signs with that, and we just make it 6 plus 2. That's how we're normally used to seeing it. But that's what you kind of have to think about, because when we put negative signs there, you have to think about it that way too. It's like a positive 6 plus a positive 2. Now for right now, we're going to talk about doing this on a number line. Okay. On a number line, when you add, by the way, anybody remember what integers are? I suppose we should go over that. Integers are positive and negative whole numbers. So here's my number line. These would I'll list some of the integers. So we know the positive one's pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But integers also include all the negative whole numbers. So we also have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. Okay, these are integers. Integers are not fractions, there's not decimals, so you can be thankful for that because you don't have to deal with fractions and decimals right now. When you talk about adding integers, or when you add positive integers mean you just go to the right when you add positive integers. In other words, this. Okay, first of all, we start at 0. We start at positive 6, which means right here. Here's my positive 6. And then I add 2. I just go 2 places to the right. And 6 plus 2 is 8. We've done that forever and a day. The problem comes when we add negative integers. If you add negative integers, you go left. I'll give you a chance and you can take a look at this here. In other words, this. If I have a positive 8 plus a negative 3, okay, that means I start at, well, I can start here and go positive 8 this way. There's my 8. But when I add a negative 3, instead of going to the right, I come back. Negative numbers come back. So I come back 3 places. 1, 2, 3. And my answer ends up being 5. Now we don't always want to use number lines, but it's a good way to think about it. I also like to think about it like this. Positive numbers is money that you have. Negative numbers would be like money that you owe somebody. So if you have $8 and you owe somebody $3, you have to give them the money you owe, and what do you have left? $5. Okay. Or if you had $15 and you owe somebody, I don't know, $10, 15 plus a negative 10, you'd have to give them those $10 you owe them, you're left with $5. Now, how about this though? What if I start off with negative numbers? What if I have a negative 7 plus a negative 3? That would mean this. Well, if we did it on the number line, it would look like this. Alright, I am starting here with a negative 7. And negative numbers mean I come back to the left. So this would be negative 8, negative 9, negative 10. I start with negative 7 and I come back 3. I end up with a negative 10. But if you're talking in terms of money, you owe somebody $7 and then you owe them $3 more, you owe them $10. What if you owe somebody $4 and then you owe them $11 more? What is a -4 plus a -11, Charlie?
15.
Negative 15.
Negative 15.
Negative 15. Okay, so the adding part is not so bad, but what about the subtracting part? Here's all you need to know about subtracting. To, write this down, subtract integers, comma, you add their opposites. I'll let that sink in a little bit here. To subtract integers, you add the opposites. Now, before we go on there, we probably need to define what opposites are. I don't know if we've talked about opposites. Anybody know what opposites are? Opposites are, if you have a +6, the opposite of that is -6. If you have a -8, the opposite of that is +8. It just changes it from negative to positive. So now let's think about what I just said there. If I have a +8 minus a +10, +8 minus a +10. What does this say to do? Add the opposite. So that means this. Instead of writing it like this, +8 minus a +10, first number stays the same. I add the opposite of this. What is the adding the opposite of 10? Opposite of 10 is -10. So this whole subtraction problem just turns into that. And this one we just did. Wait, what is that?
It's your cross there.
Oh, thank you. So what is a +8 minus 10? Or a +8 plus a -10? Ethan?
2. I mean, not 2. -2.
Yeah, you have $8, you owe somebody 10, it's -2. So anytime you come to subtraction, add the opposite. How about this? -4 plus -6. On your paper, just to keep this straight, you are going to want to write the original problem down. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't want to write that. Let me change that. -4 minus a +6. -4 minus a +6. What am I going to change that problem to be? Instead of -4 minus a +6, it's going to be a -4 plus, what's the opposite of a +6? -6. What is a -4 plus a -6? You owe somebody $4, you owe them $6 more. Ephraim, you owe them $10. You owe somebody $4 and then you owe them $6 more, you owe them $10. There's no +2 there. Let's do another one. What if I have -13 minus -1? You write that on your paper, then you would change it to be what? Instead of minus a -1, it's going to be plus a +1. Add its opposite. Add its opposite. What is -13 plus 1? Plus a +1? Owe somebody $13. You have $1, so you have to give them that $1. What are you going to end up owing them? Kate?
-14.
Nope, -12. Kate, if you owe somebody $13 and you have $1, you have to give them that $1, but now you don't owe them 13 anymore, you just owe them 12. How about another one? 16 minus a -3. What is 16 minus a -3? Again, don't try doing this in your head. Follow the directions. Instead of subtracting a negative, you are going to add its opposite.
Isn't it supposed to have like positive?
Well, if there's not a sign in front of it, it's automatically positive. So here, if it helps you, you can go ahead and put that positive there, but we don't need it. What is 16 minus a negative 3, Olivia?
Positive 19.
It is 19, because it becomes 16, add its opposite. 16 plus 3 is 19. And in case you want to use the money analogy for that, how that would work, you start with $16, but somebody took away your debt of $3. And in order for somebody to take away a debt, they actually have to give you that money. So you actually ended up getting $3. When you take away a negative 3, you're taking away a debt, which means somebody would have to give you that money. Subtracting a negative is the same thing. Charles?
I don't understand the plus 8, the positive 8 plus negative 10 equals negative 2. I don't understand that.
All right, well, let's do it on a number line. Well, let's do this. Charlie, if you have $8 and you owe me $10, you have to give me the $8 you have, and then what's going to happen? You still owe me $2. Or, if you want to see it on a number line, you're starting at positive 8, and you have to come backwards 10 places. Well, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 places backwards. 10 places backwards from 8. 8 places backwards gets you to 0. 2 more places back ends up being negative 2. You have $8, you owe somebody $10, that means you're going to end up still owing them $200. Afro.
I have a question on the same question, or problem, but what is this addition sign for?
What is what addition sign for?
The two negative sign, because you're not adding.
You're adding a negative. That's what the deal with integers are. When you add negative numbers, that's the same thing. I always like to say it this way. In math, there's really no such thing as subtraction. There's really just adding negatives. It's the same thing. To add a negative is the same thing as subtracting. It's all the same thing. You're taking away positives or adding negatives. We need to do a couple more. But again, don't try to think about it in your head. Please do it out like I've said. Here we go. Write these down. See how many of these you get right. Negative 3 plus positive 4. Negative 3 plus negative 4. Oh, and then sometimes they throw parentheses in there, but parentheses don't matter. Plus a negative 5. This is the same thing as without parentheses. They just want you to get used to looking at it, I guess. And then a negative 2 minus a negative 4. Oh, I guess I should do another minus 1. Negative 4 minus a positive 2. Maybe we'll talk about one more way to think about it. Remember, the plus part should not be hard for you. It's the minus thing that maybe gets a little crazy. Give you a chance to try those. But make sure you write down the problems. Don't skip any steps, because that'll just make it way more confusing. Remember, you're only changing signs on subtraction problems. Don't start changing figures because we did it before. What is a -3 plus a positive 4? -3 plus a positive 4. Ethan is
1.
a positive 1. You don't have to put the positive signs there, but again, remember, if it was a number line, you start at 4, you have negative, it goes backwards. Another way to think about it is like this, children. If you think about -3 as being like 3 minus signs, and 4 as being 4 plus signs, if you know anything about whatever, when you match up a negative with a positive, they kind of go away in pairs. So this one would go away with this one. You know, which one do you have more of? You have one more positive than you have negative. 3 negatives, 4 positives. This next one, -3 plus a -4. It's like you have 3 negatives and then you have 4 more negatives. If you put those together, Carter, you have
7 negatives.
-7, right?
Trevor.
Did I write that down wrong? What?
Did you just call Trevor Carter?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
He
sorry.
does that a lot.
It won't be the last time. How about this one? -10 plus a -5. And again, these parentheses don't mean anything, but you kind of got to get used to seeing them because they do it in math, so they just throw that at you. You can take them away. It's not going to change anything. If you owe somebody $10 and you owe them $5 more, you, Sam,
Negative 15.
owe them 15. Or if you want to put the negatives down there, you have 10 negatives. And you have 15 negatives.
That's 5.
Oh, 5 negatives. Oh, man. Means you get 15 negatives. Now, here's where people run into trouble. -2 minus -4. -2 minus -4. The rule is to subtract, you add the opposite. So if we could do these problems up here, you can do it down here. It's the same thing. Here you have 2 negatives, 4 positives. Put those together, you end up with +2. 2 more positives than negative. Same thing here. To subtract, you add the opposite. -4 plus -2 is Ronnie Johnson.
-2.
Take a look, Ronnie. 4 negatives, 2 more negatives is a total of
-6.
-6. That is the whole kit. Welcome.